Welcome back to Core Motivations Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Conley, your certified Enneagram coach and a Symbis marriage coach. Today, I'm honored to welcome Aaron Hendon to the podcast. Aaron is a nationally recognized real estate leader, keynote speaker, author, and coach who is redefining what it means to lead with purpose. Known as the Mindful CEO, he helps entrepreneurs and leaders discover the power of awareness, intentional leadership, and what he calls experiencing your own agency, the ability to recognize that you have the power to choose how you respond, lead, and create your life. Aaron has built an extraordinary career in real estate while inspiring people far beyond the industry. Through his speaking, coaching, and writing, he's helped countless individuals become more present, resilient, and authentic in both business and life. He's the author of several books, with a new one hot off the presses, which we'll hear more about when we're chatting, noting that he continues his mission to help people lead with greater clarity, confidence, and intention. In today's conversation, we'll explore mindfulness, leadership, the importance of self-awareness, which we talk a lot on the podcast, and what it truly means to experience your own agency, and how these principles can transform the way we do business and live our lives. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Aaron Hendon. Hey, Aaron, so glad you're here. How are you doing?
Michelle, I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here. This should be so much fun.
This is awesome. I don't want to steal your thunder, so I want you to tell a little bit more about yourself, but I wanted to tell our audience that you are a best-selling real estate author and a certified mindfulness instructor and speaker as well. Do you want to take it from there and tell us a little bit more about where were you born and how did you get started on this journey?
All right. Well, I don't know. We want to go all the way back, but
okay, no.
I'm from New York. Okay, so I talk really fast, and it's a little bit germane to my evolution into what. I think our roots are all germane to our evolution to where we wound up. But so yeah, I'm originally from New York. I went to art school in New York, and then I moved to Albuquerque with a woman. And because I went to art school, I started waiting tables in Albuquerque. And then one day the baker in the restaurant quit. And because I'd gone to art school, I knew how to bake because that's a thing. And I started baking for the restaurant and won a couple of blue ribbons in the New Mexico State Fair for my whole wheat challah and sourdough rye. And then decided to open a bakery, and I did. I opened a bread and bagel shop in Albuquerque, did that for about 10 years. And then from there, a business coach recommended that I do a transformational weekend program called the Landmark Forum. And I'd never heard of it, but this was 1994, and it was cheaper than what I was paying him, so I thought I would go do it. And I did, and it blew my mind. It was the best thing I'd ever done. Eventually, a few years later, 6 years later, sold my business, went to work for Landmark, and then moved from Albuquerque to Phoenix, and then Phoenix to Seattle. Then completed my time on staff with Landmark, although I still lead programs for them. And I live on a small island off the coast of Seattle. I'm a managing broker of a real estate team. And then a few years back, I was looking at what I could train my team in that wasn't available elsewhere. You know, like all the training I could think of, people were already training them in that. I didn't have to. You know, like I don't bake bread if I can find it better in the store.
Okay, I have to ask.
Yeah.
So when family gets together, do they still ask you to bring your baked bread?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
It's still
high
a thing.
holidays, I bake challah for the synagogue and for, you know.
Challah bread? You have to come over.
Yes. I bake the bread for my son's bar mitzvah. You know, I bake on occasion. But, you know, if I can find someone else who does, but I don't have to bake sourdough because there's like 70 great bakeries in Seattle that do sourdough. Who has the time?
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's
So
not.
Landmark.
So anyway,
Tell us more about that.
oh, well, Landmark is amazing. Landmark is it's the flagship program, the entry point program is a 3-day, 1-evening seminar that essentially gives you the freedom from your past. My experience was that it had me see the various limitations that I had placed on myself that look like reasonable conclusions based on my history. I was like, oh, well, that's just the way life is. All those
Sure.
things that just the way life is. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, wait a minute, I made all that up. And it just disappeared. It freed me up to take actions that I never thought I could take. And I got very moved by the opportunity of living a life where I could have my life free up other people. And frankly, since then, that's been my life. That's been what my life's been about, is having people have experience of their own agency. I do that with real estate. I do that when I sell people's houses. They have an opportunity to have agency. Uh, their freedom to move, freedom to do stuff. When they buy a house, there's a way for people to get equity. Equity is a major piece of agency for people. And so anyway, I was looking at what I could train my team in, and I could get into the whole backstory of how I found mindfulness, but I found that mindfulness meditation made an enormous difference for me. Just a little bit of it. So as a New York Jew, my people have a saying, things are never so bad, they can't get worse. That was the world I grew up in. Worry was like the coin of the realm. And through my practice, I discovered that I had stopped worrying. It just had the Jaws music in the background shut off. And I thought this would be a good thing to train my team in. So I got certified as a mindfulness instructor maybe 4 years ago, and we increased our sales by 160%. I thought, that's a good thing. This is working. So I started training sales teams in mindfulness and in the opportunities to be present and available to your clients versus thinking of a rebuttal or worried about your pipeline.
Right.
And it's been wildly effective.
Get into mindfulness
Good.
and how it relates to what we do here on the
Yeah.
show. I have 2 questions for you.
Okay.
I'm going to quote you if that's okay.
Okay.
Slaying the dragon of hustle culture, one mindful moment at a time.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
Well, I think this is directly how it connects to the work you do, by the way. I think these are directly connected, why I reached out. See, the thing about hustle culture is you can't see it. You can point to it occasionally, but mostly you just live in it. And whatever you can point to really isn't necessarily it, because you're still constrained by it. And the constraint shows up like no one ever got to their deathbed and thought, I can't believe I didn't close that deal.
Right.
That's not a thought on a deathbed. And equally not a thought on a deathbed is, God, I spent way too much time with my family. Nobody says those things.
Right.
That is not something you would ever say at the end of your life. And yet, in the living of our life, and what I'm calling inside the context of hustle culture, we don't value what we really actually authentically value. We value closing that deal. You can see it at the dinner table when people are on their phone or they're in their head thinking about tomorrow's meeting, not with their family. They haven't trained their brain to stay present to the moment. And mindfulness and developing a mindfulness practice of training your brain to rest where you'd like it to rest versus where it wants to go is a superpower for people. So that's the longer explanation for slaying the dragon of hustle culture, one mindful moment at a time. I think that directly connects to what it is you're up to here, is freeing people from the constraints, the hidden constraints.
Our mission here on Core Motivations is to strategically work on self-care and self-love and finding new patterns while utilizing the Enneagram tool. So what would you say is your tool in comparison to how we use the Enneagram?
Well, the tool is meditation, is learning and discovering it in all its forms, not just cross-legged on a cushion, which is the automatic image, but can you meditate when you're doing dishes? Can you meditate while you're driving? Are you capable of taking a walk and being in the present moment intentionally in that moment? And I think the direct connection, Michelle, to what you are up for is that thing about self-love and self-care.
Right.
Because to learn to meditate is to learn to forgive, is to learn to return, is the ultimate form of self-care. You're resting your brain without judgment, and that's the key because we are all inherently so hard on ourselves and unforgiving. Like, we forgive others way quicker than we forgive, the slightest fault is a problem for us. And so I think to discover meditation requires one developing a context of self-love like that.
So, how do you work with people? And then what would it look like to guide someone through being intentional in the moment mindfulness process?
Yeah,
Mhm.
a really good question. So right now, my primary vehicle is a live cohort that I run a few times a year. It's 9 weeks of practices that build on each other and allow one to develop a habit. So it's mindfulness and meditation in particular. Mindfulness is how you live your life. Meditation is like going to the gym. Meditation is the tool. It's not the point.
Medi-
Yeah. Like, you
yeah.
don't go to the gym to get really good at lifting heavy iron circles. Unless you're an Olympic weightlifter, you don't go to the gym to get really good at the thing. You go to the gym because the thing, lifting heavy iron circles, will allow you to live your life the way you want. Have your body look the way you want it to look, lift your grandkids when you're 80, whatever, right? But the point isn't the gym. The point is the life. Meditation's the gym. Meditation is what you do so that you live mindfully.
That's so
And
beautiful.
and
It really
mindful
is.
living is simply living in the present without judgment, being intentionally aware of the present moment, to live that way and to be witness to life. It's the only place that the end result here is that people are more effective and more fulfilled. It's not one or the other, right? We can get people effective and not fulfilled, right? I don't think you can really get people fulfilled but not effective. But at any rate, so I work with people to discover meditation and to live mindfully, and we do that in a 9-week structure. And in fact, the book I have coming out is the handbook for that course. So you could attempt to do that on your own if you wanted to. Although, honestly, the best way to do it is with a teacher, a human, not do it with an app, not do it from a book.
So, together in real time, in person,
Yeah.
breathing the same air.
Breathing the same air, because one of the things that I've discovered about the apps and why meditation apps have such a high churn rate, like 90% of people burn out, because we come to meditation or even come to the Enneagram, we come to something like this because we seek help, we seek assistance, we seek an improvement of some kind. And for meditation purposes, the improvement that you're going to get is going to be by letting go of seeking improvement. That's how you get better, is you get better by letting need to get better. And the apps, unfortunately, once you get inside that ecosystem, they're geared around you getting better. The streaks and the challenges and the counters. And, if I just meditate one more day to complete this challenge, then I'll be better. It's organized. The gamification is organized around that. And you can't get there from here. You can't get better by continually trying to get better.
Okay.
And
So I guess the kind of segue is, what would you say is your overall mission?
So my calling is people experience their agency and live with loving kindness. And my latest mission, attached to my book, is 1,000,000 people learn to meditate.
But I love that process. I think that these things sound simple, but sometimes we can either overcomplicate the idea
Mhm.
or make it more underwhelming when I think that there's this mix of it.
Yeah. And then there's also the problem that we get attached to goals, right? Like sometimes we turn a goal into a mission, or a goal into a vision or calling. Vision and calling are this, in my view, close enough for jazz to be the same thing. They're the overarching, they're what Simon Sinek would call the big why. They're the
Right.
what's the world in which everything shows up for you. And for me, that's people experience their agency and live with loving kindness. And then inside that calling, there's all kinds of expressions. There's my coming out with this book and my cohort and the work I do with sales teams. Those are all different missions inside people experiencing their agency and living with loving kindness.
So, talk a little bit about agency for those that don't
Sure.
know what and understand what is agency.
Agency is the ability for self determination. Agency is the ability to say how your life is going to go and then have it go that way. Agency is being self governed, that I can say I want it to go this way and I have it go that way. That's having agency. There's no outside circumstance that's going to dictate how something is going to happen. I have agency over that.
And so, is this something that you can just have, or is it something that is teachable?
It's certainly developable. I think once you begin to remove the barriers from your experience of being whole, complete, perfect, because I think that's the natural state for people, is to want self-determination, to be capable of self-determination, to not be told how to live, that every human being has that in them, the ability for self-determination, for agency. And once you remove any barriers to your experience of that, then it just shows up. And I think it's, again, I think that's getting connected to your agency is through self-love, is through being kind to yourself. The way I don't call it self-love, when in my work, I say there's no downside to being kind to yourself, but
Mm,
I would think it'd be very difficult to find the difference. If that was a Venn diagram between self-love and being kind to yourself, I think that'd be a circle.
nice. So, quick little sidestep. Is this only for realtors? How do I participate if
Mhm.
I wanted to hear more about what you're doing as just a
Yeah,
individual person? Is that something that is offered
sure.
for other
Yeah,
people?
the cohort itself, the book and the cohort is not realtor specific. So it's how to live a grateful life in an effed up world. And its intention is to give you access to gratitude, actually experiencing gratitude, even when things are messed up around you. Because if you look at life, life's messed up. The way the framing of the current culture, hustle culture or not, whatever you want to call it, we've got either gratitude journals, which leave you listing the things you're grateful for, which is fine, except it doesn't give you any way to hold the things that you're not grateful for. And it has you either pretend that you're great. How are things? Oh, they're great. The toxic positivity people in our lives, that everything is great all the time because they can't say things aren't great because that'll create a negative vibration and whatever, right? That whole world of just say it's great is like putting a live, laugh, love sign on a burning building. You're not,
Right.
you got to find a way to hold that. So there's a quote that sort of underpins my book and my work in the cohort. And that's from Francis Weller, psychoanalyst and author and speaker. And he says the work of the adult human is to hold grief in one hand and gratitude in the other, and to be stretched large by those. And that idea of being able to hold what we grieve, and you could put upset, frustration, disappointment, anger in the grieve side. It doesn't have to be loss in any particular way. But all that stuff that's not working, because it'd be difficult to look out at the condition of the world and see it's all good. It's just not. There's things in there that, aren't working. And we don't have a lot of training in how to hold that and hold it in a way that doesn't consume us. And a lot of the things that we use for distractions, screens, drugs, checking out in general, are designed to have us not deal with that experience. And I'm asserting that you can't have a real experience of gratitude if you're not willing to also have a real experience of grief.
Mm.
And that's the work over the 9 weeks, is to be able to develop the capacity, train your brain to sit with the way things are and the way they're not, and to be with it all. And when you stop resisting the way things are, gratitude just shows up. Like if you hold a cork underwater, as soon as you let go, the nature of the cork is to float. The
Right.
nature of a human being is to be grateful. That's how we naturally are. But we've got all this resistance to reality, the way things are, the way things look, the way we know things to be, what's true, what's not true, what we like, what we don't like, our opinions, our judgments, our assessments that we think are real, that we think are fixed, that are things are never so bad they can't get worse. The motto, like the slogan, my family credo, what I grew up with,
Right. Right.
shapes my view of reality. And when you let that go, you have a new view of reality, and it's quite potent.
So part of your 9-week, do you present people, and maybe I missed this, with a gratitude list or how to show gratitude for yourself and the things that are
No,
around?
we don't. It's so funny, Michelle. We don't even get to gratitude till week 7.
Mm.
Okay. And one specific gratitude meditation and 2 tangentially related meditations around gratitude. So I have it broken down into 5 A's. There's 5 A's that you need to master. And you got to master them in order. And here's why gratitude journals don't work, because they skip right to gratitude and they miss the first 4 steps. And the
Mm.
first 4 steps are awareness, allowance, acceptance, appreciation, then attitude toward gratitude. But you can't start with gratitude because you're not dealing with the other spaces. And gratitude will just open up when you've thoroughly dealt with the other spaces. So awareness, just getting present. What do your feet feel like on the floor? What does your butt feel like in the chair? What's the air feel like on your skin? What's present? What's actually here? And then allowance, allowing things to be how they are and how they're not. Stop arguing with reality. It shouldn't be this way. Okay, if you have anything in your life that shouldn't be the way it is, you're never going to get to gratitude. You just can't get there from there. You are now stuck in some assessment about reality when the truth is reality is the way it is.
So
That
being able to just be in those, whether it's good, bad, hard, or whatever,
listen,
that
you
we're
know when
just being in that.
Yes, well, when Shakespeare had Hamlet say, "Things are never good or bad, but thinking make it so," that's what he meant. Things
Mhm.
are neither good nor bad.
Right.
Things are, and then we think. And if you can just get a little sliver between the way things are and what we think, just a little sliver of space, then you can get, "Oh, I don't like that. That's very different than that's bad. I don't want that in my life." Allowance doesn't mean you let anything just happen to you. This is the problem, is that we just stop arguing with the way it is. And then acceptance is even a higher grade, because we think accepting something means agreeing with it. or acquiescing to it or succumbing to it. And it doesn't mean that. It means accepting that this is happening in my life.
So you're talking about changing our language, changing the words that we're using so that we're not having these absolutes or these static words like good, fine, bad. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Well, you can start with the language, and there's definitely a path to a transformation through language, which is very much what the Landmark Forum is. It's just if you don't also alter, change your experience of it, the language winds up being like putting icing on dog poop, pretending it tastes like cake.
Fair, fair.
Okay. So it's not just changing the language, it's about changing the language and then actually experiencing, okay, that's the way that is. And this is how that feels in my body. This is what I've decided about it. This is what I know about it. This is what it reminds me of. This is all my experience of that happened out there. Take the current political situation, whatever side you take, I don't care. You have an experience of that. Well, that experience you have of it is true for you. But you know that I have this experience of it, and it's very well could be that you have a different experience of it.
So no two people are the same.
Is there anyone who would argue that two people are the same?
And what would you tell people that
The
should they argue that and say, well,
No,
I'm the
no,
same as this person?
how could you argue that? There's no way you could argue that. There's no way in physical reality you could argue that. There's no science that would back that up. There's no evidence for that. Every bit of your experience of life is, you don't see life the way anyone else sees life. That there are no two people that see things the same. I would say there's no two people that are the same. And I don't think anyone really ever has the experience of being the same with anyone other than I've never even had a hypothetical argument with anyone about
Right.
being the same.
So
So
that's different than, you can relate to what somebody's
totally
saying.
empathy, sympathy, relating is not, I'm willing to see things the way you see them. That's a big deal. I'm willing to get over there in your world, which means I'm no longer stuck in my point of view as being the right point of view, but let's look at things from your side. That's all a mindfulness stance. That's all what's available because you're no longer attached. You can see your point of view as your point of view. You don't stop seeing things individually when you practice mindfulness. I still get pissed at my wife. I still get pissed at my kids. Stuff still happens. It's not like things don't just happen. It's just I'm able to get off my point of view quicker going, oh, wait a minute. That's probably not how that is for them. How is it for you?
Right.
Which is why my sales team increased their sales by 160% because they stopped being attached to their point of view being the only point of view and got interested and curious about what's that like for you? Tell me about that. And you can dance with reality in a way you can't if you are pretending your view of reality and reality are the same thing. Your view of reality is not reality. And people mostly walk around, and you can see what passes for political discourse, just to stay inside that world for a second. What passes for political discourse is a whole bunch of people thinking their point of view is the truth, is real. Well, that's a complete lack of acceptance and allowance of the way things are.
So when we're being curious about another person, then that allows this, openness for what someone else's experience is. Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
that's right. And you can be open to all of it, which doesn't mean you will become a doormat. It doesn't mean you then accept being treated any particular way. You can then say, listen, I accept that those actions you just took are the actions you took. I am willing to accept that you did that. And I want you to know, in my life, that's an unacceptable way to behave. So I'm not going to be around here anymore because that's, for me, in my world, I am not willing to accept that behavior. Doesn't say anything about you. You do whatever you do, but you're not doing it around me.
Well, and you can't tell someone how to show up. They show
That's
up
right.
how they show up.
That's right. And
Yeah.
they often also show up consistent with, see, this is the great thing about, mindfulness and meditation, and that world gives you this, what the Buddhist calls beginner's mind, like a not knowing, like, and that's a magical space in a relationship because, when you meet your partner for the first time, I remember when my wife, we were just beginning to date. We just celebrated our 28th. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And she would call me at work and she would complain about her day. She would just like give me what wasn't working. And I used to be so excited that she would trust me with the things, with her complaints. And I can tell you 30 years later, that is not the same experience. I'm not like, oh, I can't wait to hear what she's complaining about now. I don't have that experience, but it's just an example of how
Sure.
we lose our beginner's mind, right? But
Mhm.
I can, because I practice, like, oh, okay, this is a real deep level of trust for her. She wouldn't just say this to anybody. This is her expression. So how she shows up has something to do with how I listen to her.
And so relating that back to your seminar, are you teaching people how to show up for, first of all, personally, and then their clients or the people that they're working with?
I teach them how to be present. I have them train their brain for presence and clarity and peace. That an outcome of that is that they change how they show up. So, which is why it's not sales specific. I have plenty of people in the program. Most of the people in the program are not real estate or sales at all. I have separate sales trainings that I do for teams, totally distinct from this. This is just more general, like, no, I'd like you to be able to be grounded in a world that's trying to knock you off balance. I'd like you to be able to maintain your center in a world that's gone wonky.
Okay, so I have two more questions
Okay.
for you, and then we're gonna shift gears a little bit.
Okay. I'm totally
Tell
with
me,
you.
I was reading on your website, you spoke something about true north. What does
Mm.
that mean?
Well, that's my calling. So, uh, that's the work to develop a calling, is we use true north as a metaphor in just a general vernacular of something, that direction that you can always point to. No matter where you are, you could locate the North Star and you'd be headed towards the same point as someone else on the other side of the planet heading to the North Star you'd eventually meet. It is a invariable target out in the future, true north. My calling, one's calling in life, is a true north. The way I spoke about it earlier. Everything I do falls out of that, and I can see how the action I'm taking now on this project, given it came out of that, leads back to that. So the work I do is fulfilling to what mattered on my deathbed. So on my deathbed, I don't wind up with, I didn't spend enough time with my family, because my true north includes my being present to all that. So that's the idea behind true north, is you develop a orientation in life that you say would fulfill you at the end of your days.
I love that full circle moment that we started off talking about mindfulness, and then you brought it back around to how do you connect that by talking about true north.
Yeah.
So I love that part. Well, I like all of it. But it's good
You're
to,
welcome to like some of it better.
I mean, it's good to
It's all good stuff.
know where you started and where you're going, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I had another question. I guess for now, it's my final question.
Okay.
Um, is your blog, what
Mhm.
can people find there? You have a blog,
Yes.
and I'm wondering what can people find there?
Uh, I would hope that what people find, and I would use my Substack for this, is, and it's free. It's a free blog like that. But it's various thoughts I have that would empower one in their pursuit of mindfulness. various places that I find when I lead the live cohorts, it's always different and always new barriers come up and new things come up that stop people from having agency or living with loving kindness. And I can see those barriers and I do thinking and writing about that so that people can read it and hopefully get a handle on living mindfully, slaying the dragon of hustle culture.
I love that. Well, let's transition a little bit.
Okay. Yay.
Something that I like to do with my guests is talk about the Enneagram.
Great.
And so, if you're okay, we're going to do a typing session.
Let's
Um,
go.
Usually, I have people do an assessment and it kind of gives us that foundation, a jumping off point, if you will. We don't have that today, and that's okay. I am going to go through some core motivations of each type. And just a reminder, there's 9 types. As I'm sharing the core motivation, I want you to be listening for 2 of the types that really resonate with you. And so then
Okay.
we're going to go through its 5 different sections. And the outcome is that you'll be able to land on 1 or 2 of your Enneagram type. And I say types because it's not a for sure thing. It's
It's a
what,
direction.
right. And it's what we could be leading you towards. And then, of course, for those that are interested in moving forward, we would do coaching sessions where we go much deeper dive into your particular Enneagram type.
Great.
So
Second meeting.
this is exciting for me. I just love being able to determine why we do what we do. And I think that with the Enneagram, it gives us language to explain that.
Great.
So let's get started. Starting with type 1, they're known as our principled reformer. And their core fear is being wrong, bad, evil, inappropriate, or corruptible. Their core desire, however, is to have integrity, to be right, virtuous, and core weakness is resentment, meaning that it's this anger that has been repressed, leading to continual frustration, dissatisfaction with themselves and others in the world. However, their core longing, this message that their heart is longing to hear is, you are good. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
We're going to move on to the next one, type 2, the nurturing supporter. Their core fear is being worthless, needy, inconsequential, and even dispensable, where their core desire is to be loved and wanted. And a core weakness of theirs is pride. So they deny their own needs while attempting to help others. But their core longing, that message is, you are wanted for just being you. Type 3, they're called the admirable achiever. So their core fear is failing, being incompetent, inefficient, exposed, or worthless. Core desire is to be valuable, admired, respected. Core weakness is this thing called deceit, meaning that they're deceiving themselves into believing that they are only the image they present to others through success and achievements. And their core longing is, you are loved, valued for being yourself, and that you do not need to achieve my love. Are any of those resonating with you?
3 for sure, without a
Okay.
doubt.
Okay. I have a couple more to read. Um, so we're going to move on to the next groupings. Type 4 is our introspective individual. And so their core fear is being inadequate, emotionally cut off, plain, and mundane. Their core desire is to be unique, special, and their authentic self. Their core weakness is this thing called envy. So they're feeling that something is fundamentally missing in them. So this envy leads them to feel that others possess qualities that they lack. And then bringing it home, their core longing that their heart longs to hear is you are seen for who you are. And then type 5, the analytical investigator. Their core fear is being ignorant, invaded, annihilated, incapable, essentially not existing. Their core fear is to be capable and competent, where their core weakness is something called avarice or greed, where they feel that they lack this inner resources and that too much interaction with others will lead to this catastrophic depletion. And so they end up becoming more of a minimalist in their connection or contact with other people, where their core longing is your needs are not a problem.
Mm.
And then type 6 is the faithful guardian. Their core fear is, well, fear itself, being without support or guidance, being alone. Their core desire is to have security and guidance, where their core weakness is anxiety, where they're constantly scanning and preparing for that worst case scenario. And the core longing is you are safe. Any of those resonate with you?
6.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, maybe a little 5,
Okay.
but I would think mostly 6.
Okay. Interesting. So we have the last 3, and I'm just going to read those for you and see where we head. Okay. Type 7, they're known as the enthusiastic optimist. That's a tongue twister. Their core fear is being deprived, trapped in emotional pain, limited, bored, or missing out on something exciting. Their core desire is to be happy, satisfied, and content, where their core weakness is something called gluttony. So, this insatiable desire to fill oneself up with experiences and stimulation so that they're avoiding emotional pain and they end up pursuing a variety of positive, stimulating ideas and activities. Where their core longing is you will be taken care of. So, in turn, you're turning away from that pain, but also telling yourself the truth about grief and hurt. Type 8, they're known as the passionate protector. So their core fear is being weak, powerless, harmed, controlled, or manipulated. Their core desire is to protect themselves and those in their inner circle. And the core weakness is something called lust or excess, meaning that they are in constant need for intense control and power, that they need to have this constant need to push everything and assert themselves willfully. So, kind of like this snowplow or bulldozer kind of
Mm.
persona. And their core longing, that message their heart longs to hear is you will not be betrayed. And finally, type 9, they're known as the peaceful accommodator. So their core fear is being in conflict, tension, discord, shut down, feeling overlooked. Their core desire is to have that inner stability and peace of mind, where their core weakness is something called sloth, where they desire to be unaffected by life, this unwillingness to be fully awake to themselves and others.
Mm.
And then their core longing, that message again, is your presence matters. Does any of those resonate with you?
7.
Okay. Very interesting. I love this. You'll see it all come together.
Okay, good.
Okay. So since you picked out a couple of them so that we can kind of um, bring it down a little bit further,
Okay,
you talked about type 3, which is the admirable achiever. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions and see
okay,
if any of those kind of help you either land on a 3 or we move to the other that you
okay.
mentioned. Okay. So type
Yep.
3. Do you place high value on success, recognition, and achieving your goals?
Yes.
Okay. And is your self worth sometimes tied to your accomplishments and success?
Yeah. Can I say unfortunately so? But yes.
That's okay. This is the whole point of this is, again, just
Yeah.
like
Tell
in
the
your
truth.
work,
What's it
it's,
like? Yeah. What's it like right now?
yeah, and it's helping just to be aware
Yeah.
of
No, it's
who
good.
you
Yes.
are.
The
Yeah,
answer,
it's,
the answer is that yes.
yeah,
The answer
so
to that
yes
is
is good.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's the truth for me
great.
right now.
Okay, and the
Yeah.
final question for a type 3 is, do you adapt your image to meet others' expectations?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can I ask a follow-up?
Sure.
Why do you think it's hard to say yes to these 3 questions?
Um. Well, because there's a connotation in the last one for sure of uh, you know, not it's
Let me just say
strike
this.
it
It's
strikes me like
okay. It's okay to not agree with all of them. This is just a baseline.
yeah, but I mean, I think I mean, on one hand, I think it's true that everyone does. Everyone's different with their parents than they are with their kids, than they are with their
Absolutely.
coworkers. So everyone modifies who they are. So from a particular standpoint, yes, true. And then there's also something that's sort of like not admirable about it to me, like, I'm not gonna be true to myself, but that's not really what that's asking.
Right.
I don't sell out my values, but I do, I put on a collared shirt for the interview rather than just a ratty t-shirt because the expectations were such. I don't have that part. I have zero problem with. I think it's being consistent with the listening, like you're dancing to what's happening. So yes, if I take the value judgment and the possible other interpretations of that question out, the answer is yes.
Sure. Well, good. Way to navigate that
Yeah.
and work through it. Okay, you also
Hmm.
mentioned type 6, the faithful guardian. So I'm going to ask 3 questions about that one.
Okay.
Do you place a high value on feeling stable, secure, and supported in your relationships?
No.
Okay. Are you often anxious or doubtful and seek reassurance?
No.
Okay. Do you value loyalty and commitment in relationships?
Yes.
And then the final one that you said you really resonated with is type 7, the enthusiastic optimist. So here's 3 questions to ask
Okay.
about that. Do you seek new and exciting experiences to avoid boredom?
No.
Okay. Are you optimistic and future oriented?
Yes.
Do you struggle with staying focused on one thing for long periods?
No.
And then finally, do you tend to reframe negative situations and painful emotions to stay positive and optimistic?
No. No, that's the basis of the work that I do is to
Right,
not do
right.
that. Yeah,
I had
no.
a feeling that
Yeah,
that
that's a no.
was, I mean,
That's
as I was reading that, I
yeah,
was like,
like, oh, yeah, well, that's
you're not a 7, I don't think. But
yeah.
I'm not here to type
But hey,
you.
I get it. No, it's all worth exploring,
Yeah.
Something in that resonated more than the 8 and the 9s, but clearly the first one, was that the one?
You said 3,
3, fine.
6, and 7.
Yeah, so 3 is for sure the one where I have the strongest,
Mhm. You're
uh,
right.
ability to relate to myself in that way.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to talk about something called triads. There's a grouping with type 8, 9, and 1, and they're called the gut triad. So everything that they do in life or how they respond to life comes from this gut response. So they respond to the world from a place of instinct or gut knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so the struggle that the 8, 9s, and 1s tend to have is anger. So I'm going to read these 3, and my challenge to you is, do any of these resonate with you? And then I can tell you what I think. Fair?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the emotional struggle is anger. So 8s express anger, 9s repress anger, and
Hmm.
1s turn anger on themselves and occasionally others because their common desire is for justice. So, do any of that resonate with you?
Common desire for justice, meaning who's it common with? What are the things that are being related to as common desire? The common between me and you? Is it common with myself? Is it common just most people exist for justice? What's the common relating to?
It's based on the core motivations of each type.
I do know that I get angry. I know that
Mhm,
is a thing, right?
mhm,
And it comes out as like, whoa, that was really angry. Like,
mhm,
or like that. And I definitely have a sore spot, soft spot, weak spot,
mhm.
whatever, not around justice, around things being just, equity,
Sure.
inclusion,
So would you
justice.
say it's more of you express the anger or you repress the anger?
Definitely express. I don't repress anger.
Okay,
That's the problem is the way it gets expressed.
right. Well,
You
isn't
know?
that the work for all of us?
Yes, very much so. That's
Right,
yeah, yeah.
right,
There's a common.
right. Okay, so here's the next group, and it includes types 2, 3, and 4. And you've been kind of hovering under or over type 3.
Okay.
And type 2, 3s, and 4s, they're what's called the heart triad. So they respond to the world from a place of feelings, where
Mhm.
the emotional struggle is shame. Um, and 2s, they feel other people's feelings. 3s repress their feelings. 4s are comfortable sitting in their feelings. So they have this common desire, significant identity.
Significant identity?
Yeah. So how they not just see themselves, but how they're presenting themselves to others. So, for example, I'm a 2 and I feel people's feelings, which in turn makes me personally have other feelings about these feelings, which can cause this shame over myself,
Mhm.
even though that's not really what's happening. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, totally. I don't, I'm working on feeling other people's feelings. Definitely it's funny because the next space from that has shown up for me to work on
Mhm,
for myself in terms of my journey is living from my heart, living t opening up my heart in
mhm,
that way, moving
mhm,
from being overly analytical, over heady to heart-centered. And, so I hear all 3 of those spaces as either a place for me to develop or a place for me to let go. Because shame has always been a big,
mhm.
uh, uh, impactful experience in my life. Embarrassment more than shame, but those are so closely related, we could connect them easily.
Sure.
Um, so I hear a lot of connection for me and where I'm at in my life with this the various, elements of each of the 3.
Okay.
Not one of the 3
Specifically,
specifically. What was 3 again?
repress their feelings.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I'm at work and all of I think that's the part that I would say right now, I'm actively, consciously, you know, you put on your LinkedIn, "Open for work."
Right. For sure. For sure.
That's my open for work,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
like in there.
Okay. Well, we're gonna actually skip the next 3, because I feel like you're kind of heading in a particular direction.
Right.
So
I'll
we're
take
just
your
going
time.
to move on to the next part of that. And it's something called stance. Each of the types fit again into this connective category. And threes, sevens, and eights, which is kind of where you're headed in,
Hmm.
they are in this assertive stance. So they tend to move against people, focusing on what they want or need. So would love to hear that thought. But put a pin, hold on to that.
Yeah. I got it. I
Yeah.
got it.
Okay, good. So threes, they move against what gets in the way of their goals. Sevens move against what gets in the way of their happiness. And eights move against what gets in their way, period.
Well, I laughed because I have a familiar to myself, um, distinguished character trait of needing a dragon to slay,
Ah,
which is where slaying the dragon hustle culture came up. It's like, what is it? Like, if I have a dragon to slay, and this is connected to justice, this is, it has to be a just fight for me. It has to be, I have to see some injustice or some problematic thing in people's experience, out there in the world that I can rail against. I just need a dragon to slay. It's exactly how I've said it in the
mhm,
past. Like, if I have a dragon to slay, I am good. When I had the bakery, it was fun and it was great. But as soon as someone opened an Einstein bagel, which doesn't boil their bagels, they steam them, which makes it round bread, not a bagel. I was on fire. I was like, as long as I have something to a dragon to slay. I don't know what else to say about it.
sure.
So
Yeah,
all three of those
yeah,
are, yes, are my stances. I like
yeah.
it. That is a stance that I have. That is
Mhm.
absolutely a stance that I have.
So, kind of just to add a little bit more to that, this stance is feelings repressed, meaning they access their feelings last and that they're future oriented, goal setting, anticipation of what's next, and visionaries. Does that sound like you?
Yeah.
Uh huh. Okay. This is so cool. Sorry.
Yeah, that does.
uh,
I mean, look, that's the Million People Meditating Manifesto.
I know. It's
That's my
so
whole thing is that, and it is, juxtaposed, like there's a dragon in there, like people being, the world is organized around knocking you off center. The
right,
world is organized. It's the most distracting time a human being's ever lived in,
right.
you know?
I love this. Okay. We're getting there. Again, a series of types are put into what's called instinctual subtypes. So it's just another level or layer
Mhm.
of the type itself. And
Okay.
again, I don't want to tell you what type.
I understand, but you are the master here. You hear things and you should trust that. I trust you in that.
Absolutely. So I can tell you that you're teetering on a type 3 with a little bit of a type 7 and a little bit of a type 8. So to kind of iron down a type
Mhm.
3, I'm just going to read three different aspects of
Okay.
these instinctual subtypes, and they're known as a self preservationist, a social, or a one to one. And I have to say that some of the language I also don't agree with necessarily, but that's okay. We'll just do it with an open mind. Type 3, self preservationist, is someone who is known as security, where they hide their vanity by being a good role model. They seek to be admired by looking and being good, but without outwardly bragging. So they want to be the perfect model of what a
Mhm.
person should be. So polished, hardworking, effective, and productive. They have a difficult time identifying their inner feelings and tend to think that love is about fulfilling their role in the relationship.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, to some degree,
Mhm.
yes. I don't think that anyone can escape all of that, but I
Right.
don't does not sound like
Mhm.
that's me.
Okay. And then there's the social part. This subtype is what most people think of when reading about a three, in that they focus on achieving, looking good, getting their to do list done, and that they're prone to vanity. They garner attention and seek as much influence and admiration as possible. They also enjoy the spotlight and strive to climb social and professional ladders. They can be very competitive and aggressive in pursuing success. They fear being exposed and embarrassed, so they try to hide any negative information or unflattering traits about themselves. They are masters at knowing exactly what is expected of them and are skilled at shape shifting into the most admired and charming person around.
Uh, sort of. I mean, I can see that. I know that I
Mhm,
have a level of arrogance. I have a desire for the spotlight, certainly, in the writing this book, the being on the show,
mhm,
my
mhm.
reaching out to you to be on the show. All you could contextualize any of that as attention seeking. At the same time, I think that's tempered with it's not about me,
Mhm.
and a lot of the way that reads is it's
Right,
about me,
right.
right? But if you take the me out of that and the rest of it is 100%. If you take out that being ego driven and have that be mission driven or vision driven, then I'd say it's 100% on.
Okay.
If inherent is that is an ego drive, I don't think that fits.
Mhm.
I mean, it fits to whatever degree it fits, but it's not like, "Oh, yeah, that's it."
Right. Well, and it's okay. I mean, I just wanna encourage that you don't have to
Yeah,
overthink this
yeah, yeah,
part of
you're
it,
right.
but maybe this last one, which is known as one-to-one, might
Yeah, let's hear it.
might be a little bit. So it's someone who is being supportive to others. They tend to be more focused on their family, and they do not have the same need to be in the spotlight as the social subtype, which is the one that we read before.
Right.
They support others in order to get the help and support that that other people
Mhm.
desire and need. They create strong bonds with specific people by being, attractive and generous, and doing this in the hopes that it will bring them what they desire and need.
That's very it.
Yay!
Yeah.
I wish you could see me.
I can see you. I
Uh-huh.
can see you.
Oh,
Sorry.
you can see me with the whole.
I can see you again.
Yeah, okay, good. Because 'cause I'm like, "This is so
You're very
exciting."
happy. Yes.
Yes,
But that last one is really very
yes, okay. I
you
yes.
love this. This is
Yes,
your
I
work.
do,
This is
I
your
do,
calling.
I
I'm watching someone in their dance. This
oh
is
my
great.
gosh, this is so amazing.
It's very inspiring to watch someone in their dance. I love it.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we're gonna just skip all that, the rest of the stuff, and it looks like we have, well, let me rephrase. You have landed on your type, which is a type 3, and I just wanna read for you again what a type 3 is.
Okay.
And again, this is, just a foundation of um, what happens for a type 3. So
Okay,
again,
good.
they're known as the successful achiever, that their purpose is to be efficient, accomplished, motivating, driven, and sometimes image conscious. That the fear can be in some ways worthless or a failure, incapable, unimpressive, unsuccessful, insufficient, and exposed, that they can feel valuable and worthwhile without performing. And then, of course, that push or rub is this deceit that a 3 believes that they are only the image they present to others, but that longing is that you are loved for simply being you.
Yeah, there's a lot in that, and, I mean, you could make a meal of that. I can engage in that for a long time, and
Absolutely.
almost all of that completely resonates with, the way I wound up being, and not just the way I wound up being, but, like, the way I've caused myself into being as well.
Right. Well, so do you feel like it would be safe to say you're a type 3?
I did well, yeah, I mean, without doing a ton of, other work around this, for sure, that resonates as, uh, an expression for me, absolutely type 3.
I love that. You know, I would just like to tell our listeners that this is an example of what it would be like for a typing session. And Aaron, there's more that goes with this.
It's so cute you said typing session, and I really, in my mind, am thinking, "Oh, we're gonna be typing, we're gonna be working." Like, that and you just said it again, I'm like, "Oh, she means I'm a type 3.
A
That's the
type
typing
3.
session." I just literally could not make the connection till the last time you said it. That's how
Well,
slow I am.
welcome aboard, my friend.
Thank you, I'm now with you. But yeah, I get it. I use to whatever degree it's useful for me to see my default settings,
Hmm.
and have them show up as, my fallbacks, the path of least resistance that I'm going to default to, and the place where my zone of genius probably lay, and the all the other tools that I can use in that. It's a nice tool for that.
I just love the opportunity to give a picture, if you will. It's almost like this. What did you use earlier? I think it was the Venn diagram. That
Yeah,
it's almost like that you can see this map of the things that you could be or the way you're behaving in certain situations. And then again, having the opportunity to go through coaching sessions, there's just all these wires and links to what happens in specific situations. You mentioned earlier, which to me was right on course, how you are with certain people.
yeah,
And so there's that connection there. And I'll send you some information in email just so that you
great.
can
I'd love that.
see more.
I've done almost nothing with Enneagram other than just, talk to occasional people that were interested in it or did it, but I've never taken any time with it. So I'd love any information you have about it, and then honestly, Michelle, watching you in your dance is really inspiring. It's like, this is someone who really, this is your zone of genius. This is
Hmm.
your thing that
Thank you.
you love to do. And it's clearly, you know, whatever this is for you falls within what I call your North Star. You have some expression that this fulfills on. This is an action and a world inside what really matters to you. And no one could listen to this. Watching a great musician, I was going to say Charlie Parker, but I don't think any of us can attain that height. But the
Well,
point
it's
is,
like Jimi Hendrix. I mean, come on.
yeah, we're not going, but like someone who's just in their bag, like
Mhm.
this is your bag. It's great.
Yeah. Well, we had talked a little bit about calling, and I really stand firm and that I want and I believe that it's necessary to help people to really bring the things on the inside. And I think this connects with your mindfulness, the things that are in the inside out so that you can say,
Right.
these are things that I am doing. I
Yes,
don't have to stay in that. And
that's
it
right.
gives you that opportunity to move forward because when we're aware of the things that we're doing, it gives us
Yeah,
a chance to heal and grow and be the best version of ourselves,
100%.
right?
That's right. We can't see the back of our own head, but there's practices in mindfulness and in the certainly in my cohort and in general where, you if you name something, neurologically, it changes the way you relate to it. It no longer uses you. You've named it. Now you can claim it. That you've got to name it to claim it. And then once you
Right.
claim it, you can tame it. But that's what you're helping people do, is you're naming something that would otherwise just be, that's just the way I am.
I love that.
So
Okay, final things. So what
rapid
is
fire.
one thing that you want people to take away from our time together?
Well, I think it's something you're going to resonate with. And that is, there is no downside to being kind to yourself, period.
Can you say that again? And let's just create this, couple of seconds where it's just silent so that
Sure.
the listeners can really just sit in that.
Yeah. The takeaway is there is no downside to being kind to yourself.
That is so powerful. And I hope that that's something that people can actually pick up and hold on to. So, what's something that you're working on or focused on right now, or something new?
Well, my book is going to be released hopefully sometime in July, although I just got it to my editor. So I'm thinking now August. But um, I have my book that I'm launching called How to Live a Grateful Life in an Effed Up World, a 9-week practice to train your brain for peace, clarity, and presence. And
Okay,
that's my thrust.
okay, folks, you heard it here first.
Pre-order at agratefulbook.com,
So, how can people find you?
aaronhendon.com.
Is there any other social
They can
media?
find me on every social media platform, and it'd be very hard not to find me if you search my name. I'm
Okay.
all over the place. Yeah.
Tell us one more time.
aaronhendon.com is my hub. And then agratefulbook.com is for the pre-order. And then I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, YouTube, all as Aaron Hendon, the Mindful CEO.
Okay, listeners, you heard it. You can find him just about
Everywhere.
anywhere.
Yes, it's
So,
true.
Aaron, before we come to a close with just such a beautiful time getting to share and hear about how you present mindfulness and helping people navigate through all these stages. I believe you said 9.
Mhm. 5 stages, 9-week course.
5 stages. I stand corrected.
No problem.
But before we finish, there is absolutely one final question that I
Okay.
ask everybody. Are you ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
What's your favorite cartoon character and why?
Oh, man. Okay. Well, favorite cartoon character. I don't know how it's not Homer Simpson. I was going to go Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty, but he's a real. So I'm going with Homer. Yeah. Homer is the Zen master, all heart, total moron. Nothing not to love about Homer Simpson.
I love that. Well, I wanted to share mine.
What's yours?
Mine is Mulan because she's
Ah,
fierce and she does things scared.
yeah.
She's not afraid to make mistakes
Yeah.
while learning from them. And
Yeah.
she makes these shifts towards the next steps so that she can become someone who stomps on her inner critic.
It's great. And does so in an environment that is repressive to
Mhm.
that.
Absolutely.
Specifically repressive, not encouraging, repressive,
Yes. Which I think,
despite the environment.
yeah, we see a lot of that in our daily lives. So you said Homer Simpson? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I'm a Homer man.
Oh,
Love
I
my
love it.
donuts.
I love it. All right.
All right, Michelle.
A huge thanks to Aaron Hendon for joining us today. And make sure to check out the show notes to see everything we talked about and find all of Aaron's links. If you enjoyed this episode, and we know you did, we would love to hear from you. So hit that follow button, share this episode with someone, and please leave a review. Thanks for being here with us today on Core Motivations Podcast. We look forward to spending time with you next week. And now, the fun stuff. This podcast is not a substitute for medical care. The materials, movies, videos, or books referred to in this podcast are recommendations only. The views expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the podcast host. That's me or sponsors. Join me each week as we dive into all things Enneagram, self-care ideas, self-love patterns and rhythms, share ideas from other reputable authors, doctors, and my favorite podcasters. You can find me, Michelle, on Instagram at coremotivations_coach or through email, michelle@coremotivationscoach.com. So let me leave you with this. Until next time, and as always, I'm rooting for you.